Alright lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Shane back once again, back from his drunken stupor that he was in last week. Couldn't record with us, too busy on the sauce, but he is back once again. Shane, welcome home.
Thank you very much. I presume you missed me.
Of course I did.
Yeah. I was at a wedding last weekend, so unfortunately was unavailable. But Michael and Conan stepped in without any issues, and a couple of behind the scenes images of Conan that if he doesn't behave will be released to the world at some point as well. So he better be on his best behavior now, especially in the fantasy league. Outside of that, I had the displeasure of watching two Ireland matches. The first one was the Portugal one. We won't mention that, but second one, that Armenia game.
Oh my
Jesus, I
God.
don't know what to say about him. I don't know if I've ever seen a team so short in confidence as this Ireland team are, because there's no excuse for Armenia playing you off the park
Yeah.
and needing them to go down to 10 men to win it. If Armenia keep 11 men on that pitch, there's no way Ireland win that game.
No, not at all. I was unfortunately there, which honestly, it felt like the longest 90 minutes of my life. It was
Yeah, it was.
so long. Like, it was incredible. I was like, there's a couple of times I looked at the clock and I was like, how is there only 30 minutes gone? Like, it can't be. And like, you go in for the point at half time because you can't bring it back to your seat, and you're just like, God, do I even have to go back to my seat here at this point?
Yeah.
This is one of the worst games I've ever seen. And then that red card obviously changes everything, as it did in the Hungary game.
How stupid was he?
So
What is he
ridiculous.
doing?
And it was great because all the fans were getting on him in the first half, because he
Yeah.
was like giving it to the fans when they were booing him when he was getting the thing on his head. And then straight away, like in the second half, he gets sent off and everyone was roaring abuse at him. So that was the highlight probably of the
The
game.
whole weekend.
It was pretty
Yeah.
funny. But yeah, Ferguson, as always, bailing us out. And honest to God, that Ida cameo was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Like, he missed two absolute sitters, and then the one chance he buries, it was his fault being offside. He
Offside.
should not have
Yeah.
went for that ball when it was like being played. And there was a guy beside me, and he is like an older guy, and he was sitting beside me in the last game as well. We were having a bit of a chat, and he was giving out about Ida, and then Ida buried that, and then the flag goes up, and I turned to him and I was like, that was his fault actually. I know he buried that, but it was his fault for being offside there. Like, he should not have touched that ball or gone for it.
Yeah, I think what made it worse for him as well was that Parra came on and looked like Messi reincarnated. Every time he got in the ball on the right wing, he was running at people, taking people on, so much confidence.
Yeah.
And then Ida, if Ida was still playing right now from that game the other night, he still wouldn't have put the ball in
If
the
there
back
was
of the
no
net.
one
It was
there
just,
still in the stadium, he still wouldn't have.
he'd still be hitting the crossbar, hitting the post there. He'd somehow managed to make a run from an offside run with no one, when all he's still standing in his own half. He was just,
Yeah.
like the whole performance, it was abysmal.
Awful
Evan
stuff.
Ferguson is unbelievable, and I really hope he can get his first goal for Roma soon and just get that duck off his back and just get him going. Another cliche. I
Yeah.
need to stop with the
You
cliches.
had them lined up for your return. But what we talked about this week, then, we didn't want to waste your time on Ireland because we talked about them before, and we didn't want to go in depth because what is there to go in depth about, really?
Oh yeah,
We were like, we'll just cut to the chase here. We'll give them a little shout out in the intro, and that's the end of it. We'll talk about some real teams like the Sunderlands of the world, like the Burnleys. So we talked about the promoted teams in the Premier League. We got Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland. How well they've been doing so far. Had a chat about them before we previewed the big game on the weekend: Shane versus James, Liverpool versus Man United. There can only be one winner, or there could be a draw. Then we've got the NFL. We talked about the Bucs. I know we went into the MVP conversation last week, and we did talk about Baker Mayfield, but the Bucs in general have been so good, so we had to give them a full segment. Then we talked about Brian Callahan getting fired over in Tennessee, which was probably long overdue. We went on then to Gan Seans, gave our picks for the week, and went over last week's picks, which, shock horror, none of them were right. And then we went into our NBA chat, our last three previews of the season. Shane was delighted to get his Rockets out there, get all
I
his.
can't believe you made me wait until the last game of the season. So if you're wondering why the episode is 4.5 hours long, There is a 3 hour segment on the Rockets in the middle, just in case you're
I
wondering.
mean, I think we spent the same amount of time on the Rockets as we did on the two other teams. But
Yeah.
anyway, we've got the Pelicans as well and the Mavericks. So the Rockets are probably the most interesting right now out of the three. The Mavericks got way too much chat last season, so they can go on the back burner here a little bit.
Mm.
And then last up, we went with our power rankings. So listen for a massive shake up over in Shaneland. He went with the fun rankings this week. So that was interesting. So give that a listen and let's get into the episode. All right, so since we didn't have much football to chat about last week, since I was on my lonesome for that portion, let's get into a topic we had planned to speak about over the international break, and that is how the teams that just got promoted are getting on. It's clearly much better than what we've seen in the past couple of years, and definitely a lot better than last season. So, what's been your biggest takeaways, and who's impressed you the most so far?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that they haven't all gone out and signed the way that Forest did when they came up and went out and signed 20 odd players. They seem to have had squads ready to just step up. Definitely players ready to just step up. Likes of Sunderland, your man Lefay, Isidore just seemed to seamlessly slot into the Premier League. With Burnley, they have Esteve. I know he was here the last time they were up, but he's come on leaps and bounds after his year in the Championship as well. And then Leeds, like I just think Leeds look really, really strong as well. And I know they've signed 5 or 6 lads over 6'3" as well to help them with corners and stuff. So I just think the way that they were always almost prepared to come up before they came up. And it just made the signings from in the summer a lot easier to kind of just slip in then. I think Xhaka has been an outrageous bit of business by Sunderland in particular. I just think they all look really good. And Sunderland, I could talk about Sunderland for the day, but I'll let you come in here now. But I think they've signed really well. They've players still to come in. The likes of Brian Brobby, Gertruda haven't really had a look in yet. And they're
Hmm.
quality footballers as well. So I just think the way they have players in the squad that were ready to step up and the signings they've made have made them even more impressive as well.
Yeah, I think in general, the signings have been good. And like you said, at least each team has at least had two or three players that, actually show that they have the quality to play in the Premier League and they're not just solely relying on signings. So that's true. Like I think that plays a huge part as well especially when you have the same manager that you had before. But in terms of like what's impressed me, I think Sunderland, yeah, they've been really, really good. They've played probably some of the best football, and they are obviously in the best position. But in general, the defenses across the board have been really good. So
Mm.
looking at Sunderland, they're in ninth place right now with 11 points. They've only conceded 6 goals. The only teams that have conceded less in the entire league are Arsenal, Spurs, Crystal Palace, and one more team. Where did I lose them? Newcastle. That's the
Yeah.
only teams that have conceded less than them. So that's a very impressive statistic. But then you look at Leeds, they've conceded 11. Okay, it's not, brilliant, but it's not that bad. It's much better compared to how the other teams were faring last season. And then
When you
Burnley
consider
surprisingly,
when you consider with Leeds as well, like they got battered by Arsenal
yeah,
5-0.
5 goals
So
there.
it's
Yeah.
only 6 goals really then in their other six. You take out
Mm.
that Arsenal result, which is really solid as well. They did a really good nil-all draw with Newcastle. Um, they were good against Spurs. They were unlucky in the end of that game to lose that too. So I think pointing out the defense is a great point to make because they have looked strong. We always knew Burnley were going to be strong defensively after what they did last year. And
That surprised me
outside
the
of
most with them is that they've been the weakest out of all of them,
yeah,
Burnley defensively. But again, as you said, signing strong, big, strong players seems to be a theme because Sunderland did the same thing and it's worked for both them and
yeah.
Leeds.
Yeah, I just think the way they've gone about it has just been so smart. They haven't signed players like, oh, we're going to go up this year, we'll bet them in for a year, and then they'll be great in the championship next year. They've signed
Hmm.
players who are ready for the Premier League now. Bringing in Jack and making him captain straight away
Yeah.
was such a
Yeah.
sign of intent from Sunderland. I think Leeds are really missing kind of like an out and out reliable goal scorer. I know no Okafor scored in the last game, but he's never been a
Hmm.
reliable source of goals. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin, he's not reliable anymore. He had one good season, and that was Carlo Ancelotti just working miracles. I think
Hmm.
if they'd signed a proper striker, I'd have him having no issue with staying up. But I think the fact they don't have one still puts them in a bit of risk. But I think Burnley are gone, unfortunately. I don't think they're
Yeah.
staying up, but I think how poor Wolves and West Ham in particular have been give Leeds a real chance of staying up.
Yeah, and I think Forest are not really going anywhere right at the moment. And we like a lot of people question Brentford. I think now they look pretty good, but you never know with them going in later into the season. You also don't know with Fulham. So I think there's a lot of teams there that are going to be knocking around the same
Mm,
area. The interesting thing is there's only been one matchup between promoted teams so far, and that was Burnley coming out on top against Sunderland. So considering they're in the worst position out of all the teams that got promoted, it's funny that they have beaten the team that are in the best position, and they were very solid in that game. And Jaden Anthony in general has looked really good for
mm.
them. I
Looks
think
really good, yeah.
there's a lot of games where they've just thrown things away that they shouldn't have, which is typical fashion of how they played last time they were up. And you mentioned some of the results Leeds got. I think really impressive to get a 1-0 win at Everton and kind of caught Everton on the hop there. They played very well against Wolves to beat them 3-1. And then, as you mentioned, a draw against Newcastle and a draw against Bournemouth, who are absolutely flying.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see how Burnley fare against Leeds at home this weekend because this is the second two promoted team matchup, and I think both teams will be seeing this as a must win.
Definitely, yeah. And I think if Leeds do win that, then it is curtains for Burnley, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I
They'd be
agree.
stuck down. They'd be really stuck towards the bottom. I know they have to win. They have 4 points, but if you can't, Joe, if you can beat Sunderland and then you go and lose to Leeds, you're not really doing much else.
Mm.
I think they'll be competitive in a lot of games. I think they'll definitely, like, they'll have no issue. Like, they're not going to do what Southampton did last year. They're definitely not going to be in position Burnley were all those years back. I think they will be competitive and they'll put up a fight to a lot of teams, the way they did to United, the way they did to Liverpool earlier in the
Yeah.
season. But I just don't think they have enough firepower to get them over the line outside of Jaden Anthony. And when Esteve, who's been probably your best player, is on for a hat trick of own goals against Man City, you really are kind of fighting a losing battle there as well.
Yeah, that was unfortunate considering
Oh, it
he's
was
been good this
absolutely, yeah.
season, and then that was one of the worst single performances I've seen in a long time. Just
Mm,
so poor throughout. But I'll leave it on a final stat here that looking at comparison to last year, I mentioned at the top, but they have 23 points combined, the three teams after 7 games. Last year, the three promoted teams had 11. But the interesting thing is the XG against. So non penalty XG against the teams last year at this point had 43.1 against
Jesus.
them, whereas the teams this year have 27.5. But you would think then that that would translate into, okay, they've sacrificed attack. But no, last year the teams had 17.7 XG created, and this year it's 17.5. So it's basically the same amount of
Yeah.
creation, but way better defensively. So it shows that they really are clued in to what they need to do. And I think Sunderland, especially, they've fielded the second youngest team on average across the league this season. So they're doing it with young players too, which is incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I think their manager has done an unbelievable job
Mm.
since he came up. Even since he went in there, he turned them around last year, and he's
Yeah.
made such a difference in this year as well. Labrie, I'm pretty sure his name
Yeah,
is. He's been
Liberia, yeah.
absolutely superb for him. I think if they can hold on to him, if they can stay up this year, and I think they will now, I think I have the most confidence in them. They're 10 points clear of Wolves. At this stage of the season is absolutely mental. Like, so I don't think they should have too many issues with staying up now. Leeds' Christmas schedule is a nightmare. That's where if they haven't been conceding goals yet, but I can see if they are going to start conceding goals, it'll be about then. They
Mm.
play Liverpool twice in December, which is mad. They play them on the 6th and the 30th, which is crazy. On
It's
top of
rough.
that, then, and what else they have then? They have Sunderland, massive game, Palace at home, Brentford away. They have City in there as well. Like their Christmas fixtures is where they'll rise or they'll fall around then.
Mm.
So they just need to pick up as many points as they can between now and the start of December and see where they are at
Mhm.
the end of December then. And if they can get any points in December, it'll be a bonus for them.
Yeah, really impressive start from all the teams, and I think there'll be ups and downs as there always is. But if you start off strongly, like especially Sunderland have done and Leeds have done performance wise, maybe not in total points, but if you start off strong, it matters a lot as you go later into the season.
Huge, yeah. I was just looking there, Leeds. So in the space of a week, they have City away, Chelsea home, Liverpool at home. 29th of December, 3rd of December, 6th of December, as things stand now. They'll obviously it might be moved around a bit, but they've those 3 games in a week with a midweek game. So
That's horrible.
that's the stuff of nightmares. Like,
Yeah, absolutely horrible. Let's move on then to our preview for the big game on the weekend. Obviously, it's our two teams facing off. So Liverpool playing Man United on Sunday in Anfield. A really big game, I think. Probably more so for Liverpool. It would be
Mm.
surprising to have said that a few weeks ago, but um, I think United are on this win one, lose one streak, so you're catching them at the right time. They won their last one, so by right you should win this game. But Liverpool are coming in having lost three in a row. And the game before that, I wasn't very impressed with them against Southampton in the cup. So it's not been a great streak. So this is a kind of a must win at this point. I know it's funny to say that this early, but it is really one that you need to put your stamp on and go out there and win it. What's your take on what way they'll go about this tactically, or what way they'll select the lineup to go after United?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, I think it's a must win for both teams, but for extremely different reasons.
Mm,
Liverpool need to win just to get off this streak of losing three. I think the international break came at the perfect time for them. Um, if we're looking back, like the amount of late wins and stuff, like it just hasn't been a good start to the season for Liverpool at all. I
mm.
know they won their first seven, and it's really hard to say team won seven in a row is struggling, but the amount of late goals in there, going 2-0 up and throwing it away a couple of times, just kind of they've really struggled to find a bit of form. I think for this one, I think Wirtz will start. I said that last time he was on the bench, but I
Mm.
think he will start Wirtz as one of the three in midfield. With I don't think McAllister will start. I think it'll be Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz in midfield. And then I think he might go Ekitike, Isaac, and Salah as a front three. The back four, then the fullbacks are the problem. He's been trying to play Kirkes into form. I don't know if you can keep just plugging him away and hoping for the best, especially when you're not playing to his strengths.
I
So I
think it
don't
would
know
be
what
a
he'll.
bad game to do it as well with
Yeah,
Mbumo coming at him, and Ahmad looks
exactly.
to have
Yeah.
formed a nice partnership with him there. So
My biggest want is that we haven't played well against a team that plays three at the back since 1994 with the way things are going. Like I can't remember the last time we played well against a team who plays three at the back. I just want them to come out and show that they are capable of playing a team to back, playing a team of three at the back and beating a team of three at the back.
mm, I think looking at like United so far this season, they've conceded 1.6 goals per game, and Liverpool have scored 1.9 goals per game. So you would think that Liverpool are going to put up one at least in this game, if not
Yeah.
two. And but then on the flip side of that, you look at United's goalkeepers during that time where they conceded goals, and they were absolutely horrendous. I know it was only one game, but Lamens looked very impressive, a lot more assured, at least in the box, and no silly mistakes, just no nonsense, which is probably what United need right now. He needs to put a lot more together than that, but that would be kind of the flip side to the argument of how they've conceded. But I know we mentioned the last time around, like we spoke about Verts, and you said he had like the same amount of chances as Grealish, but like zero assists, and Grealish had four or something.
Yeah.
I want to absolutely take down this argument, because I was like, right, I'm gonna talk about Verts in this game and how many chances he's created, just to see that I have been hoodwinked by the statistics by you here. So
No, he's
chances
21
for
chances created,
in the
according to
Premier
Opta.
League, in the Premier League, Verts has 11 chances created. One of them is a big chance, and he has
Okay.
no assists. Grealish has 17. Three are big chances, and he has four assists. And then I was like, okay, what is it different for other players? But then you look at Wharton, five big chances created, zero assists. So it's not always the conversion rate. It's not always the striker's fault. So I'm not willing to allow this. Like I was thinking that, like, it's fine, okay, if that's the argument, if that's the points, that's okay. But then stumbling upon that I've been statistically hoodwinked here.
Well, so have I
Um,
then in that stage because I was reading it off Opta, and Opta put it
yeah.
up. The way Opta put it up made it look like he has 21 chances created in the Premier League. I
Maybe it
wasn't
was
going.
across all comps or something, but
Yeah, I
like,
wasn't going
um,
rewatching all the matches to go back and see if he's 21 chances created or not. I just saw it
no,
from an
but I'm
Opta
just going off
tweet.
these are the statistics that I saw, which is obviously powered by the same, like Opta provide the same across the board. And I thought, okay, then where is the biggest threat for this game? So to kind of put a point on this, it's I think the biggest threat, despite how slow he's been, obviously it's an obvious thing to say Salah, but it is Salah. If Liverpool are to win this game, it's going to be down to Salah. I think yeah,
Mm.
okay, Vert's created chances. He hasn't got the assists. Things haven't gone his way. He's only new, whatever. You can make your argument on that either way, but for Liverpool to win this game, it's going to massively come down to Salah here because if United play Dorgo on the left, Salah has a wealth of space there that he can run into. If United play Dallo on the left, then Dallo might give Liverpool a throw in, and next thing he's high fiving every United player, and Salah's in behind him because Dallo's not paying attention to what he has to do. So this is like a massive area of the game that I'm going to be watching closely. Um, Salah's created 12 total chances this season, four big chances with two assists. So he has been Liverpool's most effective creator. I think Gakpo has more chances created, but they're not as many big chances.
Yeah.
So I think he's someone that I'll be watching in this game and someone that I think could be the difference maker if he plays the way he did last season on Sunday.
Yeah, so I think Salah's biggest issue has been his shooting this year has been so wayward. Everything he seems to do, everyone he tries to curl into the corner seems to just go flying over the bar. It's been very annoying to watch because the talent is there quite clearly. Like the amount of goals he scored for Liverpool in general shows you the talent is there. It'd be so Mo Salah to come back in this game and just slap a hat trick of
Mm.
25 yarders into the top corner and on he goes and scores 11 goals in his next 10 games or something. But like something has to give in this game. Be it Salah, be it Isaac, be it Fierce, someone has to just step up now and grab the man and say, okay, we've lost three in a row. Two of them were to late goals that we should not be conceding. Two stupid goals to concede. A throw and then Robertson falling asleep. This is the game where it all comes right. We've had the international break, and a lot of lads have done really well. Alexis McAllister scored two for Argentina. Salah scored two for Egypt. Ekitike was the starting number 9 for France. He's going to get confidence from that. Isaac might come back with the bit between his teeth after what happened to Sweden as well. So it could be the perfect mix and a perfect time to take on your biggest rivals as well. Then,
Yeah, I think, and then on the other side of the coin, the one thing I'm looking at is United probably do need to look to exploit Konate because that has
Mm.
been a weakness for Liverpool. And Sesko has been a handful for a lot of defenders so far. When he started, I think the three games he started, he's like pinned defenders back and just caused hassle. He has quite a good touch for his size and he has good pace. So I think that ball into him with Mbumo running at Van Dijk, which kind of allows then that overlap to Ahmad if he forces Kirkes to play. I think that overload on that hand side with basically two strong attacking players coming at Van Dijk and Kirkes could be something United need to maybe go at. But having said everything, who's going to win the big one? Is it going to be
Li-
Liverpool or United? What's your score?
Liverpool. Lord Jesus, 3-1.
Okay, I'm going to go with an exciting game.
A
Both
draw,
teams open at times and a 2-2 draw
of
because
course.
they just seem to love drawing 2-2.
Yeah, yeah.
I
The
mean,
last
you're
game was
saying,
a
of course, as
2-2.
if I just predicted United to win like 6-0.
No, I knew. I thought you were going to sit on the fence.
I don't think United are going to win this game away. They haven't won away all season, so
Yeah,
I'm not going to start by predicting them to beat Liverpool just because of bias.
and you're not going to say Liverpool
Away
are
from
going to
home.
beat him either. So fair
I
enough.
don't think Liverpool have been good enough this season, to be honest with you. They've been there to be had. And I think United could really put a further dent into their armour. And United
Mm.
perform well against Liverpool consistently over the last season or two. They've had a couple of big wins and a couple of big goals. So I think this could be a big one. And again, I think for me, ultimately, it comes down to Salah. If Salah's on form, this could be filthy for United because that left hand side worries me. But if Salah's played the way he has for the rest of the season, then I think United have a real chance here.
Mm.
So that's our predictions for those two for that big one. Let's see how it goes. We're both going to be watching on the edge of our seats and both hoping for a result. But I think it's coming at a really interesting time off this international break
Yeah,
with
it
both
is
teams
big
in
time.
the win, as you said. So let's jump into the other type of football that we love to chat about. It's American football. I did go with last week. We talked about the MVP race, myself and Conan, we talked about it for a very long time, and we had a lot of names thrown out there, and one that came up was Baker Mayfield. Now his team has gone and won again last weekend, so it's only right that we look at the team as a whole. Bucks are 5-1. What do you make of them?
I obviously wasn't on last week. I wasn't on IR. I was under the influence of alcohol. That was my problem last week. But I actually want to give Baker a bit of an MVP shout as well for 30 seconds before we talk about the rest of the team.
Mm.
12 touchdowns, one interception. But it's not just that, it's what he's doing with his legs as well. His run against the Jets to get him into field goal range, his run to get that first down last weekend against the Niners, outrageous. Everything he's doing is turning
Mm.
to gold at the moment. Everyone, like all of his players seem to be playing well as well. Ibuka before his injury, absolutely flying. And as you were saying, like they haven't had an easy schedule. Falcons, Texans, Jets, Eagles, Seahawks, and Niners. The only one they've lost is the Eagles, and they were extremely competitive in that as well the whole way through. So, like we could be sitting here talking about them being 6-0, and no one would be surprised with the way they played this season.
Yeah, I think they actually won. Like I mentioned it last week, but they lost the game that they should have won in
Yeah,
that Eagles game. And then there's maybe one or two that they could have lost, but they managed to come through. So I think it shows their grit. And that Niners game last week was a potential banana skin. Both myself and Conan said it, that it seemed like the type of game that the Niners would just come out and perform above what was expected of them and win the game. But it was the first game actually all season that Baker was able to kneel out a win and go into
mm,
victory formation. So I think they'll like that feeling. I think there'll be something they chase again. But as you mentioned, like how tough their schedule is over the next five. You have the Lions, then the Saints, which is a pretty easy one for them. But again, in division, it can always be tough. Sorry, Conan. And
yeah,
then you've got the Patriots, who are on a high right now, the Bills and the Rams. I look at the back end of the season, and you end with Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. That is quite easy. So I think even if
yeah,
they do stumble here, they should have no problem winning the division. But I think this next like run of five, if they even come out of this like 3-2 and then they're sitting at 8-3, God, like it'll be really hard to look past Baker as MVP because he's going to run a riot
100%.
on
Yeah,
those last few games of the season.
yeah, definitely. As you said, they come out of those
But
five, 3-2, they're in business. But I think they do have a tough couple of tough one there. In particular, I think the Lions game next to them is really tough. If they can beat that Lions team,
mm,
not only is he a proper MVP candidate, but it puts them in a real Super Bowl conversation as well for me because the Lions have been playing really well up until these. I
yeah,
don't know if we want to mention that Kansas City game, but it was just outrageous. Like not having a flag thrown in the whole game, or the one that was thrown was declined because they got a first down, but yeah, they were pretty robbed in that game, and other than that, they've been
it's
absolutely flying. If the Bucks win that, then you had to start looking at them in a serious Super Bowl conversation as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're one of the strongest teams in the NFC right now, and the Eagles are stumbling along. I think really the Rams look dangerous, and the
Mm.
Seahawks look very, very good, and that was a massive game between themselves and the Bucks, and then obviously the Lions as well. I think those three or four teams are really, really strong. And you mentioned Egbuka already. He's been huge so far for them. Outstanding. Probably the offensive rookie of the year front runner.
Mm.
He's had two games at over 100 yards, including a 163-yard game versus Seahawks, and he scored five touchdowns in his first five games. Just unbelievable for a rookie. Unfortunately, he got a bit of an injury versus the Niners, but I don't think it's going to be long term. But injuries have been the name of the game here for Tampa. Like they've had injuries along the offensive line. All their star skill players, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and now Ibuka have all been injured. Yet the offense hasn't missed a beat, ranking sixth in points per game, 27.5 on average, and seventh in passing yards per game with 244. So it's actually, despite all the injuries on offense, it's still the offense that is carrying this team. And that's testament to Baker, but testament to some of the other guys that are stepping up as well, like Sterling Shepard, massive Giants, ex Giants star. He's shining over there now, so
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
another one as well is Rashad White. Stepping in for Bucky Irving has been
Mm,
absolutely flying as well. Now, I think everyone knew his talent anyway. He should probably be a starting running back one for somewhere else, but he's just stepped up massively. And another man who stood up like that is Rico Dowdle as well. I know we're not talking about them at the moment, but I think he deserves a shout out
Yeah,
after his last two games as well. It must be
massive.
so frustrating for people like White and Dowdle to have to go back and then sit in the bench or play half the snaps they were when they're putting up the numbers they have in the last couple of weeks. But that is the name of the
Mm.
game. Bucky Irving is the number one there, and he's an unbelievable running back. So
Yeah.
the depth they have there. Now, there's only so deep your wide receiver core can go as well when you're losing your top three receivers, and then
Mhm.
Sterling Shepard comes in and steps up like he's just been doing it for his whole life as well.
Yeah.
So I think everything is going right for him there at the moment, and Baker is the pinnacle of it.
Yeah, Tez Johnson looked really good too last
Yeah, he
week,
was solid
so
as
I
well.
think if he gets going too,
Yeah,
as another
him on
rookie,
the
like,
sideline. Yeah, him on the sideline about the MVP. I thought was absolutely brilliant.
yeah, he thought that the MVP chants were for him, and
Yeah,
Sterling Shepard had to tell him they're for Baker.
yeah,
Yeah, that is a
outrageous.
funny rookie moment. But I think looking at the defense then as well, they're ranked 14th in yards per game allowed, so kind of mid-level,
Mm,
320. But they really need to put a clamp on the scoring that they're allowing. They're allowing 25.2 points per game. So like they're on average they're 2.3 points better than their opponents. It's very, very narrow. Basically they're winning every game by less than a field
a
goal.
score. Yeah,
And that kind of needs to that's something that needs to be cleaned up because they haven't had as many injuries as the offense, just a couple here and there, and it's really been the weaker part of the team. Now that actually stood up a lot better against the Niners, and they confused Mac Jones into throwing a couple of picks. So I think if they can keep that up going into a big Lions game, that'll be key really going forward.
yeah. Like they let the Jets score 27 points, and we saw the Jets don't know how to score when they played against Broncos at the weekend. So I think, especially against a team like the Lions, who just love putting up 30, 40, 50 points on teams. If they don't get that right this weekend, it could be anything on that side. And they'll be asking Baker to go out and throw 12 touchdowns in one game to double his tally for the season if the defense can't get it
Yeah,
right. So I think that is a massive thing. And it's something that will harm their Super Bowl chances as well if they are going to be letting teams score 25 points a game. Like you're not going to score 26, 27 every single week. You need to be able to grind out a couple of 1916s, 1915s as well. So we'll have to see if the defense
yeah, I
can match
agree.
up to what the offense have been doing.
Yeah, and I mentioned last week the only thing about Baker is like he's only had one interception, but he's thrown some fairly
Mm,
questionable passes at times, and the Jets should have had a couple of takeaways, and a few games they had should have had takeaways against him. So if he is chasing a big game like against the Lions or the Bills, he may throw up one or two. But I think for now he's been performing outstandingly well, and I think he will continue that into the rest of the season. So yeah, I think he's definitely a forerunner for MVP, and this Bucks team is nothing to
mm.
be laughed at. Like,
Oh, 100%. I was
oh
only putting
yeah,
together the
go
clip
ahead.
there of you and Conan talking about Baker for MVP, and you were going through the list of quarterbacks the Bucks have
Mm.
had over the last couple of years, and it's the highest of the high and the lowest of the low, and all of a sudden Baker is falling into that highest of the high category, and if he keeps going that way, then the sky's the limit
Mm.
for him this season.
Yeah, he's in there with Brady now at this point amongst
Mm,
the fans. I'm
mad.
sure, like they're happy,
Yeah,
so happy
definitely.
to have him. Someone that fans did not like, and the owner followed suit was Brian Callahan. Poor fellow was the first head coach fired over in Tennessee. I mean, it's really hard to argue with it, but look, we've lost the first one of the season. It's around this point, maybe sometimes a little bit later, but it is early enough into the season. There was a lot of murmurings at the end of last regular season that he was going to get the bullet, but they said they were going to stick by him despite the team going 3-14 last season. They got the number one overall pick, picked Cam Ward, gave him six more games, and he went 1-5. So 4-19 is the total record for
Mm,
Callahan, one of the worst of all time. I think it would have been the worst of all time statistically if they had have lost that Cardinals game, which was just the Cardinals beat themselves more than the Titans actually beat them. So
mm.
obviously I think Callahan probably it was his time to go.
Yeah, he definitely. There's only so long you can keep him. 419, as you said, is just abysmal. Like it's really, really poor. And the one win, as you said, against the Cardinals this year was just stupidity from the Cardinals, dropping the ball, going over the goal line. Like, yeah, God. I can't believe also that the Cardinals head coach got fined for shouting at his player on the sideline after that. But anyway, that's
Hundred
maybe
thousand.
next week's topic. Cam Moore just doesn't look like he's really ready. But Joey is kind of he's the first overall pick. You've tanked the season to get him. You had to leave him in there, but in general, they just haven't been good at all. Like they've just been really poor. Everything they've done is poor. They've no scheme. They've no real. They don't seem to have a plan other than Cam Moore just throws it up, and if he doesn't get picked off, it's great. And if he can find someone even better, then it's just been a clusterfuck. In all honesty, from since the start of last season, and
Yeah.
there's only so much he can do. I was reading an article because I was trying to look up and get a bit of points in it, and their owner as well, she doesn't like to be embarrassed apparently. And she had a lot of people in watching the
Yeah.
game at the weekend. And they were like, geez, you can't keep him in charge. So she made the decision then.
Okay. Yeah, Amy Adams Strunk.
Yeah.
She didn't even show up to the press
Yeah.
conference then to dismiss him. And one there's a guy, Paul Kaharski, I think, is the beat reporter over in Tennessee, and he asked like the hardest questions, and he hounded Callahan, like gave him such a hard time. He asked the guys like, "Where is she?" during that,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Oh, she's not here. I'm here representing her." So yeah, she obviously didn't want to show face because she doesn't want to be known, I think, as somebody who keeps firing head coaches quickly,
Mhm.
but she has been doing that. So yeah, but this one I think was justified, and yeah, I would certainly be embarrassed too if I owned the team and that was what they were putting out on the field.
Yeah.
In terms
Especially
of Cam
when,
Ward, though, like,
yeah.
go ahead.
Especially
What were
like
you going
their next game is Mike Vrabel is coming back to
to
town
say?
after she
Yeah,
fired him, and now look what he's doing as well. So probably didn't want to
I
see her
know.
biggest mistake up against her second biggest mistake as well. So she let the second biggest mistake go.
Yeah, yeah, that could probably played a part in it. Like, it would have been really bad optics for them to get hammered by Vrabel. But I was just going to make a point on Cam Ward. I think it was better to get Callahan out because he was clearly like not dialing up the right offense and not
Yeah.
giving Ward exactly what he needed. Like, Ward has had some really, really good throws, and some really good moments, but some really horrible like rookie, clear like low level rookie passes and mistakes. So I think that maybe someone who's a bit more experienced or makes the offense kind of around him. I think they're bringing Mike McCoy, who's already in house, in for the rest of the season, and I think he said he's gonna make things a bit more friendly for Ward, which is definitely needed. But
Yeah.
like
100%.
looking at their defense, they've been actually like on a similar level to the Bucs. Not amazing, 26.8 points per game allowed, which is actually less than what the Bucs. So they're actually slightly better defensively, despite how many possessions they've allowed. But it's the offense, 13.8 points per game, second worst in the league. So it just shows you like a decent offense can get you out of like a semi okay defense, which is what's happening over in Tampa. Whereas if your offense absolutely stinks, it doesn't matter if your defense is mid level. This defense might even be decent, but they have to face so many so many drives every single game that it's just like you're wearing down on every snap. You're literally knowing your offense is going to do nothing for you, and it's similar over in Cleveland with the Browns.
Yeah, so I think the first sign of the offense doing nothing was when they lost 20-0 to the Texans. Um, Only conceding 20, the defense put on a good show there, and then the offense come out and just literally cannot do a single thing. And the fact he got two more games after that was a bit of a shock to me in general. So the fact that they, as you said, it is definitely justified to get rid of him now.
Okay, so moving off the Titans because I think they've been like really really poor this season, and it's not something you want to dwell too much on, really, to be honest, because
Yeah, I think they were as
kind
shaky as my internet connection towards the end of that point there. So I think we're better off to move on.
yeah, we had a bit of a technical difficulty, so if we seem like we're just jumping straight into gun chances because we had a bit of connection issue. The internet did not want to hear us talking about Callahan and the Titans any even a minute longer. So
No, I
let's
don't
get into
blame
gun
it.
chances. We had two Titans level performances last week. Neither of us
Yeah,
got anything right. So the score is 3-2 to you at the moment. I'll let you go first this week. Who have you got?
this was, I was just saying it to there, this is one of the toughest again. Just the Premier League matchups are really doing us no favours at all. So
Mm.
I've had to go brave on all three of mine this week. I might be in for another Titans level performance here. My first one, I've gone for Fulham at 5-1 to beat Arsenal at 1-2. Um, it's at the cottage. They might catch Arsenal cold after the international break. Obviously, Arsenal would have had maybe twice as many players away as Fulham had. So they would have had an extra week of training together. Who knows? They could
Mm.
come out and just kick him off the pitch, and God, I hope so.
We'll
I
be
just think
hoping
five
again.
to one. Yeah, I just think 5 to 1 at home for any team against anyone else is just mad odds. I'd always look for, if I was a betting man, they're the kind of bets I'd be doing every week. Like Everton going to Anfield a couple of weeks ago was 10 or 12 to 1 as well. I know they didn't win at the end, but they were probably the better team for a lot of the game. So you never know. So at 5 to 1, I think that's a great bet. I've gone for the Vikings to beat the Eagles. The Eagles are 8 to 11. The Vikings are 11 to 10. This one is more of a toss up than it looks on paper. The Eagles have been a bit shaky the last couple of weeks, and the Vikings have looked good, bar the London game, or sorry, the Dublin game. Jesus. Other than that, they've been really, really good. If they're off the back of a bye week, Jefferson is all rested. Looking forward to getting 160 yards under his belt. They can do it. And I have unfortunately have to back the Jets again at evens to
Oh
beat
my
the
God.
Panthers at 4 to 5. Look, they have to win a game at some point. I really just I couldn't pick another Premier League game. They're all too tight, and even the NFL games are hard to pick. There's no way the Jets can go 0-7. They can't be that bad. So surely they pick one up this week.
Yeah, I think that one was one I looked at for a second, but then I was like, I can't go with the Jets. They're just not after how they Glenn performed last week with them and the
Hmm.
calls he made. It was just hard. The only team I was considering really in the Premier League was Everton to upset City, but I ultimately couldn't bring myself to it, so I went three NFL picks.
Hmm.
I've got the Colts to beat the Chargers. It's in LA. The Chargers are pretty banged up on the offensive line, and the Colts are 5-1. They're absolutely flying. The Chargers barely got over the line against Miami, so I think the Colts at 11 to 10 is quite a decent price there. Another team that's 11 to 10 is the Cowboys. They're at home to the Commanders. I think these two teams are probably similar level. I'm not sold on the Commanders at
Yeah.
all this year. We're through the way against the Bears. And I think the Cowboys can probably beat anybody, and it's going to be a shootout every single week. So you might as well throw them in there every week. You probably get half them right, to be honest. Because they're probably going to be underdogs most weeks. And then last up, I've gone in a similar vein to you, and I've gone after my own team. I've gone with the New York Giants to take down the Broncos. The Broncos flying back from London. I think that's quite a long flight. That'll be something that'll be kind of taken into account here with the bookies, I'm sure. But it is still a 7 point game. They're giving the Giants 7.5 points, so they think the Broncos are going to win by more than a touchdown, which I'm surprised by,
Mm.
considering
Yeah.
they were hopeless against the Jets on offense. And the Giants have looked quite solid in the last 3 weeks, so I'm going to go with them again. I was questioning whether I should or not, but I think they were one of the best options out there left on the board. I was also looking at the Falcons, but they're just so up and down that I know they played great. They beat the Bills and they won the week before, but before that they lost 30-0 to the Panthers. So it's
Yeah.
quite hard to beat them. So those are my three, and if you did add them together, it's 16 to 1. But more likely, I would add the three together as all to cover the spread, because I think they all will. I think it's going to be some close games there this week. Definitely
Yeah.
amongst those
Well,
three.
mine is 20 to 1 as well there on Petty Power. So two solid
Lovely.
bets again. If you want to lose a tenner, stick a tenner
Yeah,
on either of our bets this weekend.
if you're in the business of losing money, then
Yeah.
this is perfect for you.
Look no
Um,
further.
Actually, an interesting one is the last two times I went to the Ireland game, both times I put a fiver on, and both times my bet won. And I was like, I must just like keep going to Ireland games, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have winners. Like, and everything even I was considering came up. Like I was considering putting Coleman yellow card, I didn't, but he did get a yellow card. I had Malumbi yellow card that came up. Ferguson to score or assist. I was like, at least there was something out of that dismal performance. But
Yeah.
let's move on then to the NBA. We've got your team. I'm sure you're only delighted. We had Liverpool to
Finally.
chat about today. We laughed at the Jets a bit, and now we've got onto the Rockets. So, these are our final three teams to preview for the NBA season. We've got our full season preview coming as an extra episode next week, so look out for that on Tuesday. But let's start with the Rockets. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
They don't. They're absolutely perfect in every single way. There's nothing they could possibly do that would make them any better. No, I'm only joking. I don't know. So I did struggle on this a bit, in all honesty, but I kind of settled on. So they were 35.3% from three last year. Um, it's not terrible, but it is 21st in the league. It
Mhm.
doesn't take a massive jump for them to start looking to get into top 10. So 36.6% is the top 10. 38.7 is one in the league last year was Milwaukee. They go up
Right.
1.5%. They're into the top 10 in trees, and you win more games if you're shooting better trees like that. So I think a tiny improvement like on something like that is would make such a difference. So
Yeah, I was so impressed with their regular season performance that I couldn't really pick anything out there across the board. So I went just maturity in their playoff execution.
mm,
I think they were beaten by a team that was more mature and knew what they were doing, even without their best player for the majority of the series. And they like I think they just looked like they were a little bit shell shocked when they came up against that Warriors team. Now it remains to be seen if Adam KD will tip them over the edge for this because if you're a betting man, you'd say, yeah, he's definitely going to tip them over the edge. I'd rather say he would than he wouldn't. But it's hard to say for sure because he was added to a championship level roster over in the Warriors over in Golden State,
mm,
and like they were a championship level roster before he got there and after he left. When he went to the Nets, they had a super team. He went to the Suns, they had a super team. Neither of those teams he took to the finals. So I would be a little bit wary on that part, just because I think he's been maybe questionable in terms of how far he can take a team, but for the exactly what the Rockets need, I think they couldn't get a better man than somebody you can just give the ball to and score in high volumes in the playoffs. So I like what they did, but I'm not 100% on it just
mm.
yet. But I still think it was the right move. Of course, I argued for it before it even happened. So,
Yeah, so
um,
I do agree with you on that. That he's like he hasn't really shown. He's a bit of a Pep Guardiola. Like he went into a team that's full of superstars and just brought them over the line, and then he went into the Nets, which are a mess of an organization, and just showed he was Brian Callahan for a season. Like so, hopefully he can find a middle
Jesus.
ground here now and just kind of like the Rockets have such a young roster full of really really good talented players that if he
Mm,
can be the one that just knits them together, just stops them doing stupid things. So many turnovers now. We've gotten rid of the biggest turnover in the league as well in Jalen Green, so that will
mm,
help too, obviously. But if he can just kind of bring them together and say, look, this is how you win playoff games. Because I think we can both say confidently they are going to reach the playoffs. They
yeah,
just need to try and win a playoff series. If you can win one, you can win two or three. So let's see
yeah,
from there.
yeah. I'm gonna go first on the under the radar
Mhm.
player for the team. It is tough to pick one because we talk about the team like the Rockets quite a lot since you're a fan of them,
Yeah,
both like on the podcast and offline. So it's like, oh, but which guy is actually under the radar because we talk about them all. But one guy who I don't think gets enough love anywhere is Tari Eason. I think just in general what he can do for the team is massive. And by your smirk, I guess you probably have him here as well.
yeah.
Um, 56 games last season, 16 of those starts, 12 points per game, 6.5 boards. He's an excellent defender. This is like one of the biggest parts of his game. 1.7 steals per game and almost a full block per game in only 25 minutes. Shoots efficiently from the field, nearly 50%. And he does fight for offensive rebounds. He's got good size, 6'8". He can offer a lot to any team. And I think the thing with him is the more minutes he gets, the more output you'll get from him. He's not somebody that like, oh, he should only play 23 minutes. No,
Mm.
what he does in 23 minutes, give him 30, he'll probably go up to 16, 17 points per game. He'll be getting over 2 steals a game. I think he's really underrated and somebody that you should really hold on to. And if you can negotiate a decent contract for him in the long term, he'll be a massive piece of this team going forward. But what's your thoughts on him? Because I think you have him also.
Yeah, I have them as well. I don't have much to add to what you said. I pretty much had kind of you word for word there with the points per game, the minutes, and all that. I will add that he's the head of Childish Gambino. Literally, if you look him up, put the two of them side to side. If I don't think they've ever been in the same room together, and there might be a reason for that. Outside of that, I think he's absolutely class. If he's your sixth or seventh man, you're in a really really good spot. Jabari Smith Jr. as well. He didn't finish the season
Mm,
starting. And the way he started preseason, he's like, "Oh, I'm getting back into that starting five, come hell or high water." So, there's a couple of players there who are fighting for a shirt as well, which is good to see. Um, when you look at where the Rockets were after they lost Harden and Westbrook to where they are now, it's night and day. And they've had a couple of awful head coaches who were just there to tank the likes of Steven Silas and stuff. But this year is just the most excited season for me since I kind of been watching them properly. So I kind of started following them 2017-ish, and it was in the last couple of years now. It's been nightmare after nightmare. Same as the Jets. I'm hoping the Jets will have a Rockets turnaround at some point as well. But yeah, I think Terry Easton and Reed Shepherd are the two. If I was going for anyone, it was going to be the one of the two of those. So I just went for Terry as well. Or
Yeah, I'm
Childish.
laughing. I'm laughing at the point there because you said it's night and day. I thought you were about to say it's chalk and cheese again. I was like,
Oh
come on,
no, no, I have
he's
that one
still got it
written
in
at
the
the top of
locker.
my page to not say it today.
So looking at their over under wins then, 53 and a half, just under this last year with 52. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to go up. Um, I think they've gotten stronger than they were last year. As I said about bring up that 3 point shooting 1.5, 2%, and they could very easily get 56, 57 wins. I don't think they'll win the conference, but I think they'll be knocking on the door up until towards the very, very end of it.
Yeah, I went with just having around the same as last year because they were excellent across the board. There's some better teams around this year,
Mm,
and the roster has gotten better, yes, but I think it'll take a little bit of time to adapt to having KD in the lineup and the way they want to play. And no Van Vliet matters a lot because he's
mm,
very important for the team, especially with his 3 point shooting. So I think I'm gonna go under because the line is very high, but it doesn't mean I think they'll have a bad season.
yeah.
I just think it will be just about under. And the line is, as I said, very, very high.
Yeah,
Um,
the thing is that I think the Thunder might win the division again next year, but I don't think they'll be 16 games ahead of the Rockets. So if that means the Rockets come up five and the Thunder come down five or something, I think it'll be closer than it was this year. But then, like the Lakers got 50 wins last year, Nuggets got 50 wins, Clippers got 50 wins. So if the Rockets want that top three seed, they are probably going to need to push and get to 55 wins because the Lakers and the Nuggets are only going to get better, especially the Lakers with
yeah,
Luka's full season. So I think they can't really afford to have a slow start. I think they need to start strong. Like I was looking here, the Thunder only lost six home games last year. The Rockets lost 12. The Rockets can
okay.
bring that down to 8 or 10, puts them straight away. You're looking at a better season. So hopefully they can push closer towards what the Thunder were and try and keep the other two a good bit behind them. Then hopefully,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that probably playing at home and making that a bit of a fortress will
mm,
be massive, and there probably will be less between them. But I just think the Thunder will come down and like a bit because they're not really going to be as concerned with the regular season.
absolutely, yeah.
I like the Nuggets a lot as well this year. Um, Last question then on the Rockets. I'll let you go ahead. What's the ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead?
I think the ceiling is a genuine title push. If everything falls into place, I don't know. That's not me saying that they'll do it. I think for me, I think getting to a conference finals would be absolutely unbelievable this year.
Mhm.
Be incredible if you got to a conference finals, then you can build on that. But if they're in good enough form going into the playoffs, they can get a bit of a playoff run. Who knows over 7 games against the Thunder? Like they were able to beat them last year, that they could get to a finals. And from there, then it's a stronger division. You'd have to fancy them. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think realistically, a conference finals would be unbelievable. You're pushing the boat out to water, then they can definitely get to the title match or title matches.
I've gone with the conference finals.
Yeah,
I think they're a really really good team. And KD will certainly help. I just think back to the point that the only time he's gotten there is with a championship ready team, and I
yeah,
just don't think this team is there yet. I do think they will get there. I really like what they've built. I like the pieces, and I think over time they're going to get better and better. But I'm not sure it will be with him this season. It might be with him next season, or it might be without him if he moves on. But
yeah.
I just think that maybe to push all the way to the finals this year is a little bit much. But I
It's a
still
big
think
ask. Yeah,
the
absolutely. It's a
West
massive
Finals
ask.
is definitely in reach. And yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised you suggested they could get to the title game because they have a lot of the talent there. And plus, when we did the NFL season preview, you picked the Jets to go to the playoffs, and they are useless. So if your team is actually good, you're definitely going to pick them to go pretty
Yeah.
far along the way.
I think the thing as well, like the thing that kind of puts the blocker in for me as well is that most of these guys have never won a playoff series. Um, like most of these guys, their first playoff experience was last year, and where
Yeah,
they just, as you said, they looked shell shocked against the Wizards. So very hard to go from winning
Wizards.
no, very hard to go from winning no playoff series to get into a finals in the space of 1 year. Now, it can be done, but it probably won't be this year. And will KD stick around for a second season then to try and do it again? We'll have to wait and see. But I just
Yeah.
really hope they have a good season. Obviously, everything else is going to hell at the moment. So I'd like something to start and go right. I already
Yeah.
said the F
I
word. I
was
can't swear twice.
I don't think you realize that you call the Warriors the Wizards there as well.
Oh, did
But
I?
anyway,
Oh, I absolutely didn't know. I just kept
it's
like
like
I saw
the
you say
Wizards.
something. I was like, no, I'm going to ignore him. He's just being smart there now. But you're obviously correcting me.
Yeah, because you said the Wizards beat you in the playoffs. I was like, Jesus, that's a turn up for the Bucks there.
Yeah,
Um, so let's go on then to let's do the Pelicans next. Put sandwich kind of the
the good
mediocre team
teams.
in the middle of
Yeah,
two good teams. So where they need to improve most from last season, I'll throw in first here. I think they need to add a bit more diversity into their offensive game. Like in general, the offense was bad, but they didn't really try and shoot many threes. They shot 34.6 threes a game. That was the sixth lowest in the league. Now they added Jordan Poole, so like this is going to rise, but I'm not
yeah,
sure in a very good way it's going to rise because he may not take the most logical of shots. And I think the
yeah.
main thing that will impact this is Trey Murphy. If he is healthy for the full season, then that would be fine for them. But you know, the two guys there I mentioned, one he's not reliable on the court, and the other guy is not reliable off the court because he gets injured a lot. So it's a difficult one, but that is something they need to improve.
Yeah, so that actually feeds nicely into my point because my point was last season was destroyed by injuries for him. Zion
Mm.
missed 52 games, Murray missed 51, and Trey Murphy missed 29. They all missed massive time last season. If you can keep them on the course, like Zion, when he's fit and firing, he's unbelievable. He's borderline unstoppable when he gets into the paint, but it's very hard to keep him on the court in the first place. If they can sort out the injuries, then they could be in for a good season. But it's
Mm.
so hard to say. Would you mind not missing 52 games and actually playing 52 next year? So it's a
No.
hard kind of step up. So we'd have to wait and see.
I think a massive thing as well is Herb Jones only played 20 games for them last season, and
Yeah,
he's
that's
like an
mental as well.
incredible defender.
Yeah.
And he pivot he carries a lot of the defensive load there. And he can play okay on offense. He's a bit of a connector as well. So I think that was a massive one. So if they can all stay healthy, they actually don't have a bad roster. But
No, not at all.
the past kind of tells us that they won't. Someone under the radar. Then who have you gone with that you like for the team?
I just went with their rookie, Jeremiah Fears, the seventh pick this year. It's very hard to give anyone on their team a bit of credit outside of Jordan Poole, but as you said, he's very kind of hit and miss. So just thought I'd give him a shout out. I don't think he's going to be a star from the off, but he definitely has the potential to slot into this roster. He might even get a year to play off the bench as a six man. He's obviously not going to be in rookie of the year conversations, but he could eventually get there. Not rookie of the year, obviously.
Yeah.
He could get there to be a really good player.
Yeah, I was hoping you would pick Fears because I was either weighing up to go with him or Derek Queen, and I went with Derek Queen. So I'm happy we've got different picks here. And I just think that Derek Queen was the better pick in terms of what he'll offer to the team, not the circumstances of them
Yeah,
trading away a first rounder to get him. That was absolutely ridiculous.
mental.
But I think just I think what he'll actually offer will be something more that they need right now. He give in college he was a solid player, efficient, shot over 50% from the field, 16.5 points per game with 9 boards and 1.1 blocks and 1.1 steals per game. And then you look at Fierce was more of an erratic player. He has the confidence to shoot from anywhere, but his shot selection is quite bad. And 43% from the field with only 28% from three is not what this team needs right
Mm.
now. But again, he's only 19, so the upside is there. And for the two, maybe going forward into the future, I think a lot of people are worried about how to play Zion and Queen together, but I honestly think they could do it, and it might actually look quite good because the two of them are physical, and Queen is quite efficient as well. So I would actually like to see the two of them playing off each other. So that's why I've gone for him here. Um, Over under wins then 30.5. They had 21 last year. What do you reckon?
I had to go over. I just think 30 and a half is very low. As we said at the top, if they keep everyone fit, their roster isn't actually that bad. So
Yeah.
I think just based on the fact that, well, not the fact, based on the hope that Zion, Murray, and Trey Murphy the third all stay fit, then I can see him definitely getting to 31 wins.
Yeah, I went to over as well. I said the same things. Like if they get games out of Zion, and they have a healthy Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, and obviously Dejounte Murray as well. Let's see how he fits into the system playing for like a full healthy season. Hopefully, they should easily pass 30 and a
Mm.
half. But there are also a lot of question marks. So I'm gonna think that it's probably gonna end up being like exactly 31 or 32.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still gonna go with the over. And the ceiling, I have them at 35 or 36 wins. I think a healthy Zion, where the vision kind of the vision is clear. Like if they have a good season, they get 35 or 36 wins. They have a clear vision of how Fears and Queen are going to work here. And then from there, they decide, okay, maybe we need to trade Dejounte Murray. We need to trade away Trey Murphy. We need to trade away Herb Jones. One of them doesn't really fit in. They can get like a big return for that, which will help them in the future. So I think if they get a healthy Zion season and the two young guys perform well, that would be really the most positive thing, and that would probably lead to mid 30 wins for me.
Yeah, I the same as you. I don't think they're going to be pushing towards a play-in or a playoff position here, but I think they can definitely come up from their 21. If they got 35 wins, it puts it only puts them into 13th. It only puts them ahead of the Spurs by one game from last year. So it's like it's only a jump of one position, but it's a massive
Mhm.
jump in terms of wins. They only had 21 last year. So
Yeah,
yeah, like I don't think they're going from 21 wins to winning 40, which gets them into a play-in. So I
yeah,
think it's fair
I
enough.
agree.
Just yeah, if they just get to 35 wins, I think they'll bite your hand off for that. It means they have more fun days out and actually enjoy themselves. So I think they'll
Yeah,
accept that for the year.
especially if the rookies are performing out,
Yeah.
that'll make the fans happy too. Then the last team we've got wrapping up the last one of the season before it starts. The last team to preview is the Dallas Mavericks. Where do they need to improve most from last season?
So after they obviously did the maddest thing in the world and got rid of Luka Doncic, they just have a massive hole in their team in terms of creation and leadership in particular. The rest of the roster really needs to step up this year if they are going to try and do anything because
Mm.
Cooper Flag, AD, these are players that they're not there to just sit around and get 30 wins and not see playoffs. These are lads who want to do something. So if they want to do something, they're going to have to show it themselves that they want to step up here and be a real force.
Yeah, the ball handling is quite an issue with the team. Like,
Yeah.
who's going to actually handle the ball? Like, it's not like D'Angelo Russell. No, I don't think
Mm.
would not like that. It's probably going to be Cooper Flag more than anything. Playing like point forward, almost. But I've gone with rebounding here. I think they had one of the worst rebounding differentials in the league last season with -2.2. It was the sixth worst overall. And a healthy Anthony Davis, Gafford, Lively, and Flag will most certainly change this. But then, if you have so many big guys on the floor, the ball handling becomes an issue. So I think actually our two issues, while different, they kind of combine
Yeah.
because you kind it's hard to get one without the other, or with the other, should I say, at the same time. So that's something they probably have to combat. Um, a guy that I just mentioned is my under the radar player. It's Derek Lively. I think he's not really under the radar because he had a massive rookie season, but last year's injuries put him kind of to the back of people's minds. I think in his two seasons in the league, he's averaged 8.8 points per game, 7.5 boards, and 1.6 blocks in just 23 minutes. He's been minute sharing with Daniel Gafford for most of his young career so far. And I think he was an important part of that rotation that made it to the 2024 finals. And if you look at Gafford, he's a solid player, but he's probably the one that should be coming off the bench in the long run. So I'd say Gafford should start for the first maybe 10, 15 games, but we'll see Lively slowly beat him out of that starting role, I believe.
Yeah, I had Lively as well, so there's not really much to add. I was also looking at Nemhard, the fellow the undrafted rookie they brought in, but he
Mhm.
was on a two-way contract, so he'll probably play more G League than NBA League this year. So I just went with the same fellow as you and Lively. I think he's really
Yeah,
solid.
I think they're thinking that maybe like he's the brother of Andrew Nemhard from the
Yeah.
Pacers, who excellent defender, stepping up a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing him how he performs this year with Tyrese Halliburton injured, handling the ball more. And I think they said he has some similar characteristics. So if he plays as hard as his brother, like that will definitely take you into some minutes in the NBA eventually. Um, Looking at the over under wins, then it's 40.5. They were on 39 last year. So what do you reckon?
I think this is so hard. I think they're going to be in around that line again. I've actually gone under on it. Um, I just think there's a lot of moving parts here for me that I don't really trust. As you mentioned, the rebounding, the handling, the leadership, who's going to be the one that'll step up. I think they might struggle at the start to get any sort of a run going. Cooper Flag getting used to the league. I think they could very easily get close to it, but I just went with my gut on this one. I went under.
Yeah, I think last year they had 39, like with a lot of disruption and injuries. Just I think the way that they'll play is probably they'll use a lot of size. They'll probably play similarly to how the Rockets played at times last season.
With the two big.
And yeah, and try to go physical and bully teams. And I think that's kind of a recipe to get you over this mark. So I have them going over 41 wins because I think Cooper Flag should pick up some of the slack that was dropped off without Luca. They're obviously a completely different player, but a guy who just is dying to win. And Anthony Davis has a lot of points to prove. So I think we could see them get just about over, but I agree it is a pretty hard line to judge. And that kind of comes in nicely then to our last question. What's the ceiling with the current roster and coach for the season ahead?
So I think their best case scenario is to get to around 50 wins, maybe just below it, and just push into that playoff picture. Playing last year, obviously 39, it was 48 to get into the eighth seed. So they
Mm,
do need quite a jump to get into that. And I think if they could get there, and then they probably won't win a playoff series, but they could win two playoff games and push someone to a game seven or something like that. I know what that means to win three playoff games. They could push
mm,
someone to a game six or a game seven. I think they'll be
yeah.
doing really well and give them something to build on with Cooper Flag then.
Yeah. I've gone something similar, maybe a little bit better because I went with if they manage to get up to like a six seed and they play a team that's like physically a lot smaller than them and weaker, and at that point you get Kyrie Irving back, I think that would be like a dream scenario for them if everybody's healthy, they kind of establish the physical game, get Kyrie back in for the playoffs, and you get a nice matchup against a smaller team and just win one round in the playoffs. But I still don't see them getting
Get in the
much further than
playoffs.
that.
No.
Really, I don't think you'll find out next week where we put them, but I find it very hard to put them even winning a playoff round this early into the flag experience. But I think um, that is an absolute ceiling for them if everything broke right for them. So let's round up then for the week. We've got power rankings to chat about. I'll throw out mine first since you had the first gun chance to throw.
Yep.
I'll give my last week. So I had the Lions, Arsenal, the Bucks, Bournemouth, Colts, and Palace. So obviously no Premier League last week, so it's kind of less movement on that side and more movement on the NFL side of things. So I've moved the Bucks to number one. I think we talked about them earlier. I had them in third place. The Lions were first, and the Lions did lose. And they looked a bit shaky at times. I know the referees were not helpful, but
Mm.
there's a couple of questionable plays there, and the Lions have a little bit up and down in a couple of games, but they've looked very solid throughout. But I just think the Bucks and Lions will be a huge game, and I think the Bucks are going to just take the top spot for now. But I could easily see the Lions grabbing that back off them next week. Second, I just left Arsenal where they were, didn't play, so they're staying there. Bournemouth have actually gone up a spot despite not playing, but that's just because of the Lions dropping down. So Bournemouth are up to third. I moved the Chiefs in at four. I just think they're just going to do it, aren't they? They're just going to get there and they're going to get to the Super Bowl. They just look a lot more dangerous this year than they did last year. And I know they're 3-3, but they just have something about them that looks like they're going to go very far.
Yeah.
So they're in at four. The Lions then are fifth. So they drop down from first, and Palace remain at sixth because yeah, they haven't played, and I'm not dropping them off. So that's my six: Bucks, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chiefs, Lions, and Palace.
Yeah, so mine is a massive shake up from what I had in last week as well. Obviously, like you, I haven't changed my three Premier League teams. So last week I had Lions, Bournemouth, Eagles, Arsenal, Jags, and Liverpool.
Mhm.
I've gone very much on a hype train this week. I also have the Bucks at one. I just think they're having so much
Nice.
fun. Very hard to look past them. Bournemouth stay second for me. I have a new entry at third. It's your New York Giants. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, I think the Giants are just having so much fun. Darrett and Scatterbo are just two
Oh
absolute.
God.
They're just two kids absolutely loving their lives, and so what? Like my power ranking this year going to be about people having fun, and the Giants are having absolute tons of it.
The
Beating the
fun ranking.
Eagles, just unbelievable. The Lions then dropped from one to four for me.
Okay, yeah.
And then my 5 and 6 are Arsenal and Liverpool. So Liverpool stay sixth. Arsenal have dropped down one just because they didn't play and I don't like them. They're the only two reasons. They have to stay in there, but I don't like them. So I think the Giants and the Lions are having far more fun than Arsenal and Liverpool fans are having. So up they go.
Listen, I I'm not going to argue with seeing my Giants in the top six. So especially coming from you, having one of my teams in here, I'm not going to argue with it. I think it's the first time we've had it over the last since we started 40 odd
Yeah, I'd
episodes.
say
So
so because I'm never going to put United in because of how bad they've been, and the Giants didn't have any fun last year. So, and neither did the
United come out
Sixers, in
and beat
fairness. So yeah.
Liverpool this weekend. We might see them in Shane's rankings next week as
Oh
well.
no! If they beat Liverpool, they might drop to 20th in terms of Premier League teams that might go into it. So
Yeah, so those are our rankings for the week. Big shake up. Both having Bucks on top, which I'd like to see because they deserve it from how they've played so far, and it
mm.
ties in nicely from our Bucks section earlier. But another weekend next, or another week done. Heading into another weekend, a big weekend of sport as always. Um, we're gonna come with 2 episodes next week, as we mentioned already. We've got the NBA season preview coming on Tuesday, and then the usual Thursday, or sorry, Friday episode we record on Thursday. Getting a bit confused there. So that's it. I'll throw it to you to wrap it up, Shane.
Yeah, thanks so much, lads. I wasn't here last week, obviously, and we got massive views, so maybe I'm the problem. But outside of that, just like, subscribe, and just follow along. We're putting so much out nearly daily on Twitter is what we're trying to do anyway. Just one tweet a day on Twitter. If you get over there and give them a like or even a
Mm.
retweet, you don't have to like them if you don't want to. TikTok is twice a week. Trying to get more consistent with it, but I will eventually get it down to 2 set days every week where they come out. And we really do appreciate the support. We appreciate all the comments we get, all the bits of feedback we get in person or from Arsenal fans online. We appreciate everything we get. So just keep it coming, and we'll see you twice next week. So lucky.
Nice one, lads. See ya.